Engineer Salahuddin bin Dag. Engineer Salahuddin will present to us a paper about assessing the risk of falling from heights among indoor ELV operators in construction sites. He is working at Department of Industrial Engineering and Engineering Management at University of Sharqa. He is associate professor, has a baccalaureate and a master degree in industrial engineering, in master degree in education, and PhD in ergonomics. 20 years experience in teaching and 3 years in industry. His research interests are in occupational safety, transportation safety, and applied ergonomics. I would like to welcome you, Engineer Dr. Salahuddin bin Dag, and we are listening to you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, actually. I'd like to talk to you very quickly today because we're running late. I deleted a few slides just to make it short about the falling from heights incidents experienced by indoor ELV workers on construction sites. This is the outline. Why construction and why ELV workers. Obviously construction in the United Arab Emirates, as in most Arabic countries, it's the second highest sector in terms of work activities, as you can see in the chart, in terms of its contribution to the GDP. In terms of unfortunate death of workers, we have 47% of work-related deaths can be attributed to construction activities. So it is really a huge percentage. Anyway, the configuration is different. It looks like there is a mix-up in the size of certain things. But anyway, as you can see, the distribution of accidents in construction sites in the Gulf region based on a previous paper. Unfortunately, there's always a shortage of official statistics. So we couldn't get to any statistics at all except for very few, statistics like the one you can see in front of you, where fall from heights is responsible for 14.1% of occupational accidents. If we want to go into the details, these are some statistics from the UK, where again, fall from accidents are really, responsible for 55% of all fatalities, 38% of major injuries. So, fall from heights really is a big problem in the West, and it is obviously expected to be a big problem in Arabic countries. These are the research objectives. The first objective is to determine the main causes of falling from height incidents among indoor ELV workers in construction projects, and number two, to give recommendations to minimize this risk. Now, what's ELV? Quickly, are mechanical and electrical contractors who install ELV systems. ELV is extra low voltage workers, like CCTV, the systems we can see, projectors, internet cabling, the ones at the top, all of the wiring that is done in any building, including fire safety, smoke detectors, etc. In terms of the methodology, we looked for, some sort of, comprehensive methodology to follow. If we found that WARM is a very interesting and comprehensive methodology. It comes in something like, yesterday I was looking at it, it comes in something like 247 pages. It's really a very comprehensive and big methodology that covers so many areas, but we used a very small fraction of it. It supports decision making in areas that are related to occupational risk in order to minimize this risk. This is the main framework of WARM, where we have the dose and the dose response. Now the dose is harmful effects, and like in terms of input protection from hazardous agents. Then we have the response in terms of medical attention, age of victim, etc. Then we have the center event, and we have the mitigation, or the what we can do to minimize the risk. I mean, anyone who is interested can go online and download WARM from the internet. It is a very comprehensive tool, as I said. Now, in a nutshell, this is the methodology. We decided, because we don't have any statistics, and we cannot get any statistics, there's no statistics, we decided to go for, to prepare a questionnaire based on WARM, and to be given to main contractors and to ELV workers in the I mean, who work for the government of Sharjah, building public buildings, like, in other words, building or constructing buildings for the government. Now, all in all, there's 200 of these ELV workers in the Emirate of Sharjah who do this sort of work. I don't have, anyway, the thing. Anyway, the second step was we sought the opinion of experts to after preparing an initial draft of the questionnaire. The third thing was we showed it to contractors. There are 6 contracting companies who deal with the government of Sharjah in United Arab Emirates. Then we distributed the questionnaire to all 200 ELV subcontractors and to all 6 contracting companies. Out of the 200 ELV workers, we got back 134 responses. We, decided to drop 2, responses, so we ended up with 132 responses, and we got a response from all 6 contractors. Now, as you would imagine, you cannot get much from the opinion of 6 managers or these main contractors. There's not much really that we can get to. All of them said, yes, we do, scaffold, safe checking, for example. We do, ladder checking, etc. So you wouldn't get much from the opinion of 6 people. But in terms of the workers, obviously there were many things that we could get to in terms of how they interact with scaffolds and ladders. Now, why scaffolds and ladders? Because they work on scaffolds and ladders. The only thing they work on is really scaffolds and ladders, because they work at heights most of the time. If not, for some of them, it's all of the time. Like for AC people, for example, it's almost all of the time. So 99% of the accidents or possible, injuries or deaths would be from falling from ladders and scaffolds. Anyway, I'll skip probably this a bit because the main results are in the next 4 slides. Now, these are the main, we used analysis of variance, and we used, cross-tabulation to get to some idea about the problems they face and what contributes to these accidents, what's missing from, from the system. Now, in terms of the effect of age, in a nutshell, we found that the older ones, got training more than younger ones. Like most of the younger ones did not get any training at all, which is unfortunate. Now, let me go back just a bit to show you that, as you can see, many of them were not trained at all on how to use scaffolds and ladders. And if any, many of you would know that ladders are really, somehow a bit of a sophisticated systems where anyone needs to have some idea about how to operate them, how to, put them together, how to make sure that they are safe before using them. But many of them, as you can see, did not get any training at all before using them. They were just hired and asked to work on scaffolds and ladders, which is unfortunate anyway. Other than that, again, I mean, older ones are more, I mean, careful about using ladders and scaffolds, while younger ones are less careful. Probably it's part of the experience, it's part of training, etc. Half of them indicated that, I mean, lack of training contributes to accidents. In terms of education level, we found that training on using scaffolds, more than 50% of group 3, who are really diploma holders or more, reported getting training on using scaffolds. Like the more educated ones get more training, the less educated ones get less training, which is, again, I mean, unfortunate. In terms of years of experience, again, I mean, 60% of the first two groups did not get training. As I mentioned before, 30% of the third, which is the older ones and the more experienced ones, said they got training. I mean, I'm probably repeating myself a bit. Finally, in terms of the work nature, now obviously we talk about 4 different groups of workers, which I haven't mentioned before. I mean, I mentioned examples, but specifically they are AC workers, electrical workers, firefighting workers, and IT and AV workers. Now, we found that, like in a nutshell, AC workers are the least well prepared, the least trained, the least educated workers, and they experience more problems, while probably IT and AV workers are the most educated and trained workers, in a sense that, which is expected because of the difference in education level. I mean, AC workers mainly are less educated. I mean, IT workers are more educated, while electrical probably leans towards AC people, and firefighting leans towards the AV and IT people, in a nutshell. Now, to make it short, I don't want to take a lot of your time. Finally, the second last slide. I mean, we, as I mentioned, 50% of the workers did not get any training at all. Don't forget that since we don't have, I mean, statistics, we're trying to find some gaps in the system, and these are our conclusions. 50% of the workers did not get any training, which is unfortunate. So it's definitely a must in terms of, I mean, giving training to such workers on how to operate in on ladders and scaffolds. It's in terms of legal, I mean, requirements. It's the main contractor's responsibility legally that they should provide, I mean, proper training, proper certification scheme, and we actually presented these, results to the concerned parties in the government of Sharjah, and they are working on, hopefully they are working on implementing them. That's what they promised in terms of getting some sort of certification scheme for the contractors, so that when they hire, subcontractors, they have at least minimum education level, minimum training level. They educate them, they train them on how to use, the different equipment, including ladders and scaffolds. Finally, there are two things which we realized again, in terms of gap, bridging. It was observed that there's no official tags or stickers when it comes to the ladders and scaffolds themselves, which is a basic necessity. And if we go to international, safety regulations, it's always mandatory to have, stickers or, safety tags on scaffolds and, ladders. So it is definitely necessary to have them in United Arab Emirates. It doesn't exist currently, such, regulations. Number two, there's no standards in the United Arab Emirates on using scaffolds and ladders. So again, we are recommended to have an official, standards by the Emirates Authority for Standardization and Metrology, and this was also, communicated with them that, I mean, there should be standards on, ladders and scaffolds. It was a challenge with the lack of statistics, with the conservative way of doing business in Arabic countries. Like always, I mean, companies, contractors are not prepared to give you all information, but at least we could get to a few, I mean, problems that look like contribute to the problem of, I mean, falling from ladders and scaffolds, and we tried to give some solutions for them. Thank you very much for listening.